And we are live. Tonight, my guest is Michael Mataluni of the Singularity Lab. Welcome to the Alien Scientist Show. I'm going to play a quick...
Great to be here, brother.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, it's great to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Welcome to the Singularity Lab, your home for futurism, breaking technology, scientific exploration, and UAP discoveries. Join me and my expert guest on a unique journey that explores the limits of human innovation, evolution, and imagination. But what is the singularity? The technological singularity is a point in time at which technological growth becomes so uncontrollable, so irreversible, that unforeseeable changes will be the hallmark of the 21st century. But is it real? Is it coming? Can we stop it? Who will write the software that will give control to artificial intelligence and the next phase of human evolution? When considering what the technological singularity means, it's critical to consider first principles, the fundamental building blocks of ideas and technologies. By understanding the facts, we can better speculate on the coming technological singularity. The Singularity Lab is both a philosophical exploration as well as a scientific and technological journal. It is the interloping of intentionally creative ideas and documentary journalism. We are entering a new era where technology and humanity become so inextricably linked, where information is virtually limitless and scientific and technological breakthroughs will have the power to transform our lives in ways we've yet to imagine. In this time of great uncertainty, we look boldly into the future while bringing you the facts and analysis you need today. Welcome to the Singularity Lab.
Wow, that was pretty epic, man.
Jeremy, what's going on, brother? So good to see you.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for this big phone home too that's coming up, man. I'm super pumped.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. We're excited too. It's been something that's been on our radar since we did the last one, and we were just trying to figure out when would be the next best time to do it again. And we went from an 8-hour live stream on the first version of the Big Phone Home, and this version is going to be 3 days, Labor Day weekend, 8 hours a day for 3 days, totaling 24 hours. And the goal is to push our congressional leaders to hold public UAP hearings. We're not naive, though. We don't think that that's going to change the secrecy of the government or, really get answers. But what we do believe is that if we can push them to hold public UAP hearings, we can get this topic into the mainstream consciousness and keep it there so that we can continue to push for transparency. So that's what we're looking to do. You were on the first Big Phone Home, and we're looking to have you back again.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm going to be on a time slot, I think, with Mark as well. I think we're doing a panel that day. And,
yes,
discussing on some of the scientific field end of the UAP subject, because there's some people that are into contact, some people that are into cases, some people are into. I'm more into the nuts and bolts kind of stuff here on this show. And that's why I liked. That's why I wanted to, introduce my channel to what you're doing over at Singularity Lab with your channel, which is still pretty new, man. You're only 41 videos, and we'll see if we can bump.
You're a baby.
We'll see if we can bump you up to 2,000 subscribers by getting you on here tonight. You've done some pretty cool interviews with some interesting figures in the field. So definitely have people, anyone in particular that's your favorite that you think people should definitely check out?
Well, I love Avi. So I've actually got 3 interviews with Avi Loeb on the channel. One where we're actually breaking down the UAPTF report. And he makes mention that in that video that he had, this was like 2 months ago, that he had investors interested in taking him on to do some scientific inquiry on the UAP subject. And then we brought him back to make his announcement that he was launched the Galileo project. So love him. Tia Durrani's pretty amazing. Massimo Tia Durrani, astrophysicist who studies the Hesdalen lights. pretty amazing guy. But we also focus on things like science, breaking tech, futurism, those sorts of topics. So that's really where I love the UAP topic, and I love digging deeply into it. And I think there is a there that we've really got to get to. But I also think that the human species is on the verge of an extraordinary transformation. And I want to be there to speak with the best minds in the field and to document that journey. Because it's truly fascinating, man, the exponential rate of technological growth and what that means for brain-computer interfacing and what that means for, potential human-machine interactions. I think it's just going to be extraordinary. So, yeah, man, it's an exciting time.
Yes, technology is quite a wild ride. What got you into this, dude? What's your background and like, how did you? Why did you pick this?
Yeah, so I'm originally, when I was a young person, I spent a lot of time looking into these sorts of mysteries, right? I was always fascinated by UFOs. You could find me in the library in my school in the 4th grade, and all I would read about is the pyramids and the Loch Ness Monster and UFOs. And this has always been a fascination and a passion of mine.
Please, believe it or not.
Oh yeah. Loved it, all of it. And it wasn't until I got to college and I really started taking a lot of philosophy courses and psychology courses that I started to begin thinking deeply about things like reality and morality and ethics and this sort of thing. And then I've always had a fascination with technology, and my father was always a first adopter of anything. He owned the first laser disc player that, those giant discs that rolled out in the early 2000s and only lasted about a year. But all those things kind of have always, led me into this fascination for this topic. And I had an experience when I was 11 with my entire family, and we were in Destin, and we had a little cabin right next to the ocean, and we were out on the deck, and we saw just some extraordinary phenomenon, and none of us could make heads or tails of it. My mother saw it, my father, my aunt, my uncle. Truly extraordinary, like lights in the sky that were darting in different directions, making incredible 90-degree turns, and we were just flabbergasted. So between my personal experiences and how I was raised, and then just always being interested in tech. And then I read Kurzweil's the Singularity is Near, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like we're at the precipice of an extraordinary evolution of the human species and technology, and where's it going to take us, and what are the ethics involved, and how can we guide it? Can we maneuver it, or is it all written? And I think, I'm an optimist, so I believe we can maneuver it, and we should take responsibility for the ethics of that. So,
yes, definitely. Elon has been really outspoken on AI as well, and the need for controlling that and legislation and everything else. What's your favorite book on AI? Do you have any?
I would have to say Kurzweil. He's definitely given me a lot to think about.
You gotta get him on the show. Is he still alive?
Who?
Kurzweil?
He is still alive. He's like, I think he's like 85, 90 now.
That would be
maybe.
Great. Him 73 right now, man.
73. Yeah. And he's fascinating, dude. That guy invented the
he invented the term singularity, didn't he? Didn't he say the one that came up with it?
I don't think he invented the term. I think he picked it up. I think he did pick up the term, but the technology that dude was responsible for developing in the 80s, like that guy was so far ahead of his time. And, I don't think every single one of his predictions is absolutely accurate. I mean, obviously no future. This is the thing about futurism, right? Futurists are always wrong, but they give us something to think about. And I think in that in that sense, futurism is so critical because it lays down multiple paths, multiple directions that people can go. And it's up to us to really figure it out and then kind of steer those directions. And so, I was reading some famous predictions of futurist past on one of my shows, and there's one from I believe it was like a duke or something in England, and he was talking about the railroad system. He's like, railroads will never be a means of travel due to the asphyxiation that they will cause on all the on everyone riding on the train. So futurism is wrought with failed predictions, but I think it's just utterly fascinating. And I was a 90s kid. I grew up on Back to the Future and these sorts of things. So I've always been interested and fascinated in this topic.
This is probably one of my favorite books on AI, and it's called What Computers Still Can't Do.
Ooh.
This was first published as What Computers Can't Do in 1972, and it's by an author named Hubert Dreyfus, and it's really more about the philosophical, but also phenomenological, as an existential idea of what is consciousness and what constitutes consciousness, and a lot of those arguments with the AI, like that, will AI ever achieve true consciousness? And he gives some of the arguments for why he thinks it can and won't. But we can create sort of super intelligences, but it won't quite have like the same effects. And
that's my hope.
Yeah, that would be my hope too. It's like, I hope he's right. It's like one of it's still my favorite book on AI, because I just like really hope that he's right about that.
I'm going to pick that up. That's great. Thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, no, I agree. I hope that's right too, because, the idea, and this is, Musk is famously, in the opposite camp, or maybe he's shifted lately, but, from everything he's been saying for the past 10, 15 years, it's, if a machine were to experience consciousness and become self-aware, then we might as well be ants, and we might as well be in the way of the road that AI wants to build.
Yeah, it's sort of crazy, the predictions that were made about that. Then of course all the AI scientists said Dreyfus was nuts and that he was he was wrong back then, but they eventually started coming around in the 80s and stuff and realizing that, hey, this guy might be onto something. But
what do you think? What do you think, Jeremy?
Well, if he is onto something, that might be a bad thing, because that might be the key to cracking how to create an artificial consciousness, if we could somehow figure that out. But that was apparently that's been a huge question, is what is consciousness, and that consciousness has something to do with effectively how some of these craft are controlled with the mind, which I thought was interesting. Reading up on some of that stuff from technological, that they put tons of research into that, is one of the studies that was done under ATIP. Stuff like that's come out is what do you think? What's your favorite kind of thing that you've learned since you've got into this field, started digging into UFOs?
Well, you brought up first. You brought up consciousness, and I've always been fascinated. As I said, I spent a lot of time in philosophy class in college before I quit college and went to hike the Appalachian Trail, because I was like, after many acid and shroom trips, I was like, yeah, this is dumb. I'm gonna go hiking, and so that led me on my quest to understand what is consciousness, and that kind of filters into what I'm learning about AI and what we talk about on the Singularity Lab. And I'm always fascinated. I've always been fascinated by psychedelics. I've always been fascinated by consciousness and what psychedelics can do to kind of turn people inward. There's a wonderful book by Michael Pollan written within the last couple of years, How to Change Your Mind, and he follows the new psychedelic treatment movement going on at Johns Hopkins University, and it's just fascinating what MAPS is doing, and a lot of these folks and organizations who are interested in consciousness and beginning to understand it and the healing properties of it. So. And then when I heard about this, CE5 and these sorts of things, having had some, interesting psychedelic experiences, I really started to look into that. And, one of the most challenging things about psychedelics is you don't know what's a self-fulfilling prophecy and what's reality. And so you can have a psychedelic experience, absolutely believe you're in connection with a cosmic energy, which may have a material component that you're in communication with as well. That's always been something that I've been fascinated by. I have zero proof and I'm very skeptical by nature, but I'm also, I'm kind of 50-50. I'm very rational and skeptical, but I'm also incredibly open-minded and interested in how this, what the potential is for a conscious connection with UAP.
Yeah, this UCA5 thing caught my mind, and I'm going to interview a guy who takes groups out to do it, and is part of this CE5 contact group and stuff. So I'm going to look into it, and I've tried it myself, but I'm such a skeptic and a naysayer that it's like maybe I'm throwing the vibes off or something. With a group of people that are more like conscious believers, because I'm just throwing the energy vibe off, and that's what they complain, is that they bring people like me out and then these things don't show up, and it's like, oh, come on.
And this has always been the problem, I think, with the mind manifesting movement, the new age spirituality. It's that it doesn't work unless you believe, right? You have to believe before you can see, and that's the opposite of skepticism, and that's the opposite of science. And so I've always been entranced with the idea of it, and the idea of, you manifest your own reality with your thoughts, words, and actions, and all of this coordinates, and the entire universe is conspiring to deliver upon you the manifested destiny that you've somehow subconsciously or consciously created. I find it fascinating, Jeremy, but I'm so 50-50. I'm such a, rational and skeptical person, but simultaneously so intrigued by this concept.
Yeah, it's certainly, it is intriguing. The skeptic in me wants to be very, say that people are being fooled, or, there's other explanations for this, but, something in me just wants to, wants to try it, and like, just to see if it works. But
yeah,
I don't know. So I'm going to go and explore that.
Do it, man. Do it. It's cool to suspend belief and look around. But, have you ever seen the Polar Express?
Yeah.
That movie is like my constant battle with this subject, right? It's this idea that you're being fooled and you don't want to be fooled, but there's this element of belief that you have to have in order to find the essence of the truth. And it's a battle, man.
Yes, so that's like, seems to be a divide. Have you noticed any divides in ufology versus like people who are truth seekers versus people that are I don't know, like, it just there seems to be like a divide. Some people are in it for popularity, and some people are in it for just getting the truth out and stuff. And I don't know. I definitely try to stay away from those people, and don't invite them as guests on my show. But I'm not wearing my shirt says Mars. People that are wondering, it says Mars. So but anyways, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So technology wise, I'm trying to think of. You actually interviewed Mark of my partner Mark, and
yes, Mark Sokol. Yeah.
What'd you think about some of the stuff that we're working on down at the lab and everything?
Well, first of all, we've got to have both you and Mark back on the Singularity Lab to talk more, because the day that I interviewed Mark, and if you go to the Singularity Lab and watch the interview that we did with Mark, it was a shit show, because his entire lab was underwater the day of that event, the day of that interview. So we actually had to cancel the interview with him, and we were like 20 minutes in, and he's like, hey man, I'm going to try to pop in. So he popped in, and it was kind of in and out. He's cleaning the lab and he's talking to us. So it was an absolute blast, but I want to dig deep with you guys and him. on what you're working on, because I don't feel that episode did it justice. But I am fascinated by him. Chris Plain from the Debrief turned me on to his work, which is so funny because I had no idea you even worked with Mark until after he came on the show. And he was telling me about you, and then we happened to see Chris Spaghetti helping him clean the lab, and it was like, I was like, what is going on here? It was like this giant, this small world experience. But yeah, Chris Plain introduced me to him. He did a piece for him on him, what he's working on over the Debrief, and I find this idea of anti-gravity to be extraordinary and truly profound. What I found fascinating was the degree to which people did not understand what the word anti-gravity meant in the chat. And it's like, well, we have balloons, those are anti-gravity, and we have planes, and those are, it's like, no, that's not what anti-gravity means. It's utilizing the force of gravity in the opposite manner, not defying gravity. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yes, so it's actually trying to build experiments which hack gravity or test gravity, so we're testing the actual effects of gravity and figuring out how it works and how to shut it off. That's kind of been this pursuit.
Exactly.
And a lot of it turns out that 70 years, billions of dollars have been spent on this pursuit and the research in the military industrial complex, over the years digging into this. A lot of it's not well known, and that's the, so let's merge from this into what we're trying to do with this big phone home this week. And, some ideas that I had for activism, I wanted to discuss with you and stuff.
Awesome.
Man, so I've been thinking about, contacting my senator, but my senator, like a lot of these senators, just seem like a career politician who's not like super interested in what, people have to say. He's just, what do I need to do to get elected and be popular? And this is, seems to be their concerns. And, it's really difficult when you try to, for someone like, me to try to get attention and just to be heard above the noise, So one of the things that I'm considering doing is actually going down to my senator's office and signing up for, I think you can figure out if you actually go down into your senator's office locally. So everyone has a local state government, and you can look up who are my local representatives. So sometimes you can look up, well, who's my, town mayor, or the council person for my city, or there's different political people in the woodwork that people can look up. So I might reach out to some of the people in my local district, because those representatives might have better access to a guy like the senator. And Senator Reed is actually on the Senate Select Intelligence Committee, who's part of the UAP task force. So it's really, I'm really trying to reach his office, because he's part of this in the government, and is engaging in this, and I want him to be as informed and knowledgeable about the subject as I am, having been involved in this research for years. So I'm thinking, go through my local representatives, go down to my actual senator's office and petition to meet with him directly. I think I did that with years ago with some activism group I was, hanging out with back in the day. I think we went to the State House and I don't know if it was the senator or I think it was the congressman actually. So you can, you can petition to go to your local government and actually get a seat and get 15 minutes in an office with these people. So I just want to go over some of the things that we're going to go over. We're going to go over on the show too next week, is about what if I have 15 minutes to sit down with this person, what am I going to say? What do I got to get in? What do I need to say to get the most impactful and really get through to my senator? And so I'm coming up with a couple real key points. I put together a 2-hour presentation to as a debriefing, and I realized that's just way too long. Nobody's going to watch that. So I really
need to get that down to 15 hard minutes.
15 hard minutes. Imagine the briefing that I was like, all right, well, look. 70 plus years of scientific research and black projects and all this, and I got to put it into 15 minutes.
I know, dude. And you're right, but you're right. They don't listen. They don't have the time. They're not interested. They don't care. And, I love the fact that, and let's take, political polarization out and just talk about the actual issue. One of the few people who are really taking this seriously from the senatorial side currently is Marco Rubio. And so what we want to do is we want to activate a ton of people on the day of the Big Phone Home. So like our first Big Phone Home it got like 80,000 views, something like that. We're trying to quadruple that. And if we can get enough people there at the same time, at the same place, and we can all get everybody to speak directly and tweet directly at Marco Rubio, we believe we can actually get a response from him. We've tried to get a response a few times, but we haven't been able to. But I think, we're just too small at this point. And our goal is to bring together a massive amount of people so that we can actually at some of these senators on Twitter and push them and force them, because this is not going to happen unless we force them to do it. So what we're looking to do is have 3 full days of incredible guests, incredible conversations on the UAP topic. And throughout the day, we're going to be taking you through how to tweet at these folks. We've got template. If you actually scroll up on that screen a little bit, after you opt in, we're going to show you exactly, we've got John Greenwald, who's a FOIA master. He's put in a template of how to talk to some of these senators. We've got templates for Twitter. We've got templates. Scroll up real quick, and then we'll come back to the people.
Yeah.
Go all the way up to step 1. All right. So step 1. Sorry, it's down a little bit. All right, right here. Call, write, tweet, activate. Step 1, call, write, tweet, activate. So there's a petition. And so we just got this petition up. So we'd love everybody to sign the petition. Yep. So if you guys go to thebigphonehome.com and you can sign the petition right here. That's step 1. Step 2, we've got templates for emailing your congresspeople. We've got templates for Twitter. To get the word out on Twitter. And we're going to be mobilizing people during this event to get in contact with these folks. And we don't, I think it's so important to remember, like the goal of this is to sear this in to both the government's mind and the public's mind, that this is a real issue. There is a there. There are things in our skies that we don't know what they are. The UAPTF report has confirmed that. We know that something is going on, whether I don't care. Like, this is not about me. It's not about what I believe. It's not about what Jeremy Reese believes. It's not about what Lou Elizondo believes. It's about getting to the truth. And I know that a lot of people think we're naive and they think we're, it's never going to happen because the government's never going to give up their secrets. We understand that. We're not coming at this from a naive perspective. We're coming at it from a mobilization perspective. We're coming at it from a perspective that we need to create a movement that lasts, so that I made this joke on Twitter the other day that Twitter has an appetite, and when it doesn't get fed, it begins to eat itself. And this is so true, because everybody, when there's no drops coming out and when there's no new news, it seems like everybody just starts to attack each other. And we're trying to get that out of the way. Obviously, people have their differences, whatever. But, I don't want to spend time there. Let's figure out what we can do as a collective, as a movement, and do our very best to make it happen. And leave the politics at the door, leave the grudges at the door, and just make some momentum, some headway in this conversation. And that's what we're trying to do. But yeah, we've got a hell of a guest list. We actually go ahead.
How'd you come up with the list of speakers, and how does that differentiate from the panels? Because I guess you're having me on a panel, so.
So we just haven't got all the names up there yet. So you'll actually be on. You'll be every speaker, every person on here is on a panel. So every single person joining will be on a panel. You'll be on a panel, and we're just waiting to get the rest of the images up. But yeah, you and Mark will be up there very soon.
Okay.
But we've got Greenwald, we've got Danny Sheehan, we've got Lou Elizondo. We just got Erling Strand from the Hesdalen Light, the lead researcher in Norway from the Hesdalen Lights project. I don't even know if he's up there yet. He just agreed. We got Tia Durrani, who is a astrophysicist who is working. Ross Coldhart will be there. It's
Kevin
gonna
Newth,
be.
He just presented at APEC last week, and it was mind blowing. His thing on UAP analysis and the physics papers that he's written on it. And
dude, that guy's incredible. So smart.
Yeah, he's doing it for sure. So
we just talked to Ted Rowe from NARCAP, who just we actually were just interviewing a couple minutes ago. He's going to be joining us for the Big Phone Home. We're going to get his picture up there. It's all coming together. We're all doing this. This is a bootstrap. This is the website was donated to us for free. This is going to be a completely free event on YouTube. It's going to be on the 5th, 6th, and 7th. So it's going to be Saturday at the Unidentified Celebrity Review. Sunday is going to be on the Singularity Lab on my channel, which is Science Day. We're focusing on science and technology experts. That's why you'll be there. And on Monday, we'll be speaking with military personnel, ex and current military personnel, and people in the government. So it's day one is researchers, activists, news media. Day two is science and technology, and then day three will be military and government. It's gonna be wild. Kevin,
Heck
can
yeah,
you?
This is
crazy,
awesome.
nuts, crazy.
Is this a video? Can I click these and watch them, or?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, this is actually the links to the actual thing, the actual video.
Correct.
So,
correct.
Oh,
so you can set it. You can click it, set a reminder. Yep. And then yeah, you can watch them right here, and then you can watch them on. You can follow up on YouTube, and they'll be on our respective channels. Exactly.
This is cool, man. Write or email, make a phone call. So
even like if you click on make a phone call, you can click on that.
Oh, so you got a script.
And it'll bring up the script. So you can use these as bullet points when making your call. So people can actually, you know, we're trying to just make this easy for people, right? It's super simple. And we're just like, sometimes you just got to annoy the shit out of the government. And, you know, when they see public interest and they have enough constituents who are interested, and again, you know, people think we're naive, and it's like, no, if we get enough people who are interested in this topic has never been as popular as right now. And to let the momentum go just because there's not a news drop is a waste. So we said, you know what, we're going to make our own news. We're going to raise a ruckus and annoy the crap out of the Congress and the Senate and the Pentagon. Now we're going to do it very respectfully. Every single thing is going to be respectful.
This isn't Storm Area 51.
Not Storm Area 51. Not. This is extremely respectful. All the goal is to just overload them with the amount of people who we're going to be pushing their way to respectfully request, you know, answers from our government officials, our employees.
This is great. You can find your representatives. You show people how to do that.
Yep.
They got the website to go to, the number that they can call for the switchboard in Washington, D.C., right to the Senate office switchboard where you can connect right to your senator. Guys, just do it. Just call in, and you know, I'm gonna have my own. I'm gonna actually put together my own list of, you know, templates and Twitter templates and emails and stuff. I've been writing my own, so definitely follow me on Twitter and check out the stuff that I've been saying, because I've been going after this. Oh, thank you for the $5 super chat from Contact Tour, man. Yes, it's a pleasure to have Michael here with us and to being a part of this awesome political movement to bring truth and clarity to this topic. It's just amazing that after 70 years of adamant denial that, you know, the government's finally come out and been like, yeah, okay, well, we're admitting to this now. And it shouldn't. I agree that with a lot of the people on UFO Twitter, some people hate that meme with the hobbits asking for second disclosure, you know. So like, we're hungry for more, you know. Right. Like, this is not the end, people. Like, people, please don't think the government's just because they've admitted to this one little thing that they've told the truth about everything they know about this. Right. And this is
they have not, and they will not.
And they will not.
And I get that. But, you know, the bottom line is, if we push for congressional hearings, what is the average person who's watching CNN or Fox News at home, somebody in their 50s or 60s, and they're just watching, and then they see congressional UFO hearings? That's going to have an impact on the psychology of the collective consciousness of this country. And, and I think that is a valuable goal in and of itself.
It's interesting. And the HCSA, right? One of my favorite big, large scale political things, the House Select Committee, back in the 70s, in the 60s. Well, it was because of what happened in the 60s. Back in the 70s, the public had caused such a stink about all the accusations of, CIA involvement in assassinations and the conspiracy theories that were going around at the time, that the government actually put together a hearing on this, called the HCSA, and they established it to investigate, the assassination of John Kennedy and Martin Luther King. And it was, a lot of people argued that it was a cover-up and, compromised from the start, but it was at least, got this into the public's attention and really, forced the government to, to actually do something about this. Whether they did the right thing or not, that's arguable. But the thing is that with today, they don't have the same control over the press that they once had. The media and the internet has allowed for the dissemination of information that has never been on a scale that's never been seen before. So we're able to get a lot of information out, and I think that that's indeed why so much. Why the government's now admitting and to this after years of secrecy, because they can't any longer. So right. It's really important that when we get this into the halls of Congress, and when we say we actually succeed with the big phone home and doing something, that we actually get somewhere once this gets into the halls of a select committee and a commission on an investigative commission, because if the investigative commission is compromised or is composed of people who are part of the cover up or within certain organizations, which it's always seems like it's going to be, because it's like, well, these secrets are national security and stuff. What about the Air Force stepping in? I've heard this news about the Air Force is kind of stepping into this UAP topic and hushing a lot of stuff up. What is that? Can you tell us about that?
Well, I've heard that too, and I don't know nearly. I know just enough to be dangerous and wrong, probably. But what I do understand is that the Air Force was not a big part of the UAPTF, the UAPTF investigation, which is I thought was quite strange. However, the person who actually wrote the investigation wrote the UAPTF report, actually does have a hand in the Air Force. So it's so difficult to trust what the government said. Even and I think this is again, I have my beliefs about UAP, but I think it's so important to kind of break it down, because people will say things like the phenomena or UAP or UFO, and it will encompass so many things under this giant umbrella. And I think it's so important for good researchers and people who are trying to get to the facts to begin to break these things down. There are, in my opinion, genuine UAP, but a lot of these things can be debunked as natural phenomena. They can be debunked as potential foreign adversary, drone technology, or our own technology. And I don't trust the government as far as I can throw them to tell me the truth in the UAPTF report about whether or not the sightings in 2004 and beyond were absolutely UAP, or if would they tell us if it was our technology? Why would they? Right. So I just don't have the answers to these questions, but I want the answers, and I'm willing to, sacrifice a lot of time and a lot of focus and a lot of energy to mobilize people into getting to those answers by pushing the government. Again, I don't trust that they're just going to come out and tell us the truth, but when you have these public hearings and you have senators, questioning each other and pushing the military for answers, that's a good step forward. And that's where I want to be focusing on this conversation so that we can begin to put the pressure on and not let up. And I think, this is probably not going to be the last big phone home. This is probably going to be the beginning of a very focused and long fight.
Yes, and that's another thing I think that's important, because I've dug into this a lot. I had TD Barnes on the other night, who worked at Area 51 for a number of years and was base commander out there, and was asking him a lot. He's got an interesting take on all this UAP stuff as well, which is different. It's there. Oh, he thinks it's all spoofing tech and none of it's aliens. And he said that, Area 51 would be the worst place to bring that kind of stuff and do that type of research. And I agree. I don't think that, according to my research, a lot of that stuff wasn't done there. If it was done, it would have been done at Wright-Patterson at the Material Command. And according to him, it fits with, like he didn't have the clearance to be debriefed on it if it does exist. If they got parts or saucers in a hangar somewhere or pieces of them hiding,
he's not going to know about it.
It may not be in the military's jurisdiction. This is the thing. It may not be under military jurisdiction. It may be in the hands of private corporations and private entities. And I think that this is one of the things that I've stressed with that company Battelle. I always talk about Battelle Memorial Institute, but I think that Battelle needs to be one of these key talking points that we address with our senators, because it's literally a place that's existed since 1929 in Columbus, Ohio. So it's been around, almost 100 years now. And they currently, they only have 3,200 employees working directly for the company, but they have 29,500 across all the national labs in the country. So they manage, and they have contracts to manage all of our national laboratories. So they basically keep a defense lid or an iron curtain on over all of our technologies and all of our
And because of that, we can't FOIA for information. We can't get any of that information. And I think it's so important for folks to recognize. We had Kevin Childress, who used to be an investigator at the IG. And one of the things, and he was a numbers guy, he was a finance guy. Yes. And one of the things that he said was that if there were the easiest place to hide black ops, the easiest place, if we had metamaterials, the easiest place to hide anti-gravity technology, if we had it, would be within these subcontracted, DOE contracted labs. And you've got Battelle,
they're the metallurgy experts.
What's that?
Anything that has to do with metals that were recovered from a UFO, it would have gone to Battelle, because they're the metal experts there within the whole establishment. So, again, I think that this is a key part of the puzzle here, because we're petitioning our government to go and ask the military for answers, but the military doesn't have the answers, and the government doesn't either.
Right.
And that's
this is a big problem. This is a big problem, and there's no accountability. There's no direct reporting, and some of these labs can have, all of these employees working for them, and there is so much that is unattainable to the small amount of military members who are actually overseeing these projects. And so, and I'm sure, Jeremy, there is a lot more to the story that we don't understand when it comes to who reports to who and these sorts of things. But from my best understanding of people who counted the shillings for these government contracts, if you were going to hide some things in the government, this is exactly how you would do it.
Right. And I think that should be that's going to be the highlight of my 15 minutes if I get in front of my senator.
That's great, dude.
I hope my audience is on the same page with me there, because I don't know if Battelle's managed by DOE. No, what Battelle manages all of our national laboratories. So they have the management contracts.
So there would be a
they manage or
subcontractor
co-manage on behalf of the
right?
United
So
States DOE.
they're subcontractors of the DOE. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Well, this is remember a lot of these. A lot of people hinted about this being where this stuff is kept too. People that were in the know, they said that it's an old contractor that's connected to the Department of Energy. And they always say that the Atomic Energy Commission was connected to the Manhattan Project, and they've been like one of the head agencies in the secrecy keeping at Los Alamos and a lot of our national labs in the years since, including stuff on Area 51. So like, this is a key piece of gold for how we're going to really tickle this dragon's tail. Because most people don't even know where the dragon's hiding. They're just saying, well, it's the government or it's the military. And then, there's this back and forth. And then the military guys are like, this is nonsense. And the government people are saying the same thing. Like, these people are crazy and like they're conspiracy theorists and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't want to get into all the
I think it's important to recognize, and I think this is one of the most important things that the government doesn't quite understand in this new digital age of social media, is that it's very difficult to lie to people and then not expect them to fill in the blanks, right? As human beings, we want answers. We want to know things. And when we don't know things, what is human history is such that we make it up. If we don't know it, we make it up, right? If you have an ancient tribe of people and they don't know why they're on the earth and where they come from, what are they going to do? They're going to tell stories. They're going to make up mythologies. They're going to create the piece of the puzzle that's missing. And that's what we do. And so when the government continues to lie, when the military continues to lie, or not even know, right? And it's funneled down into these black DOE projects, well, you're going to have people filling in the blanks. And sometimes they're right. And oftentimes they're wrong. And these are, I think that there's always conspiracies going on, but I think a conspiracy theory is a way to make sense of the conspiracy. And generally, we don't know the truth, so we make it up.
Well, we know that we don't know the truth, and then what happens is that people put out stuff that's close to the truth, but not quite the truth, and people fall for it, like what happened with Bill Moore and the MJ12 documents and Stanton Friedman and all that. Man, the Majestic 12 documents, when those came out in 1987, it really threw all of mainstream ufology for a loop. Yeah, because it basically put all this SOM recovery manual and all this stuff, and they put it at Area 51. So it's, this was right around the time that all the Area 51 stuff was coming out, to the public. So I feel like it was put out there kind of intentionally to make people think that it was alien stuff going on there out at Area 51, when in reality, none of the alien stuff goes on at Area 51. If it goes on anywhere at all, I don't have any evidence of this, but if it does go, it was brought to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and then it's probably gone somewhere else in the years since, and it's probably no longer there, according to guys that I talked to, like Walter Bosley and other people that were researched this and stuff. So.
And this is what makes this topic so harrowing, right? Because we don't know who to trust or what to trust, right? Even any time that the government says something, they have an agenda, and whether that's to, protect sensitive information, or whether it's to, keep people calm, whatever it is, they have an agenda. And so how can you ever truly trust these folks? It's virtually impossible. And so when you have people, even from the government, telling you, that we've been visited, or that, Area 51 was extraterrestrial, it's a balloon. No, it's extraterrestrial, and it's like, as long as they have an agenda, as long as they have something to ensure that people know or don't know, then they're going to lie. And that's just what we have to deal with. And then it sends, people die, people commit suicide from the paranoia of being, I just watched Mirage Men for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. Jesus fucking Christ.
Perception management. And well, that's why I think that it's interesting that, what if the government is trying to make us think that these things are aliens, what is really, our tech or some other tech that's flying around out there, and they want to throw people off, then make them
right
think,
because if you don't want China, you don't want Russia, and you don't want all these other folks to know what you have, why not lie about it and throw people off and run with the narrative that it's extraterrestrial? Now I'm the kind of person that thinks there's still a there. There's still something going on. I mean, we're about to unleash the James Webb Telescope. We're going to be able to see TRAPPIST-D, which is only 9 light years away. Right, 9 light years away. So if you get an AI, if you have an intelligent civilization that can create technology and send an AI, that it's not going to take that long to get here, right? And so who knows if a Tic Tac is AI from another civilization that's very close and far superior to us. I don't put that out of the equation at all.
I asked TD Barnes about the Tic Tacs and all that stuff. The funny thing is when I asked him about where the aliens would be kept and like where they would do that, he for some reason he said, oh, they'd probably pick an island in the middle of the Mississippi River or something and name it like a biology company or something. And I was wondering, like, is he trying to tell me something? Like, right. Start looking in the Mississippi River, like on an island and try to find this now, like. But
that's an interesting take. What did did you ask him about Fravor and Dietrich's Tic Tac incident?
Yeah, I asked him, would you say to these pilots? And he basically was like, I would say that there's technologies that I know about that you haven't been briefed on that could explain exactly what you saw.
But why wouldn't they put them under NDA? That's the thing that boggles my mind. If that was the case, you'd think they would have put them under NDA, said, you didn't see this, sign this. But they didn't.
Yeah. Well, they obviously, I think the Air Force was upset about them coming out, and didn't want this to, come out, but it like nothing they could do.
They could have if they gave an NDA after they saw it, which they didn't do. And because this was a well documented incident, and you had the I don't want to misspeak here because I think that we have a big problem in ufology where it's like when one person hears something and they say it and then you pass it on as truth. So I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but from what I understand, the Air Force were the ones who took the bricks, the tapes that were on the ship that were in direct relation to that incident. And if that's true, they had every opportunity to NDA those pilots and they didn't. Why would they not NDA them if it was American? Like, that's protocol, that's SOP, that's standard operating procedure. You NDA people when they see classified technology that's outside of their jurisdiction.
Right.
Why didn't they do it?
Yeah, again, that's an interesting point. And it almost would seem like it would have to be, it's almost like conspiratorial. What he's alleging is that all these pilots are basically engaging in a disinformation campaign on behalf of the government to forward the idea that these things are truly unidentified when they're not. And if he as he suggests, he thinks he knows what they are, and he thinks that the military and the top commanders know exactly what these things are too. So it's
either way, that's fucking wild, bro. Right? If I mean, whether they're coming from somewhere else or they're coming from here, they're coming from them or they're coming from us, this technology is extraordinary and it's game changing. And that's why I'm so fascinated by this topic. And that's why I try not to get too opinionated or set in my beliefs. I think it's very important to separate my personal identity and my personal beliefs from this topic, because you never know when you're being fooled, but the opportunity for something to learn something extraordinary is there if you're open-minded. So I try to be as open-minded as I can and not jump to too many conclusions based on what I want it to be, right?
Right. Well, the thing is that I could believe that some of this stuff is spoofing technology, because I understand they have some pretty high tech stuff that exists out there
Can
for
you
what they
explain what you mean?
do.
What they mean by spoofing technology? Are these
So
it's
they have
like
lasers that
holographs or plasma or what?
they have a laser system of like I think it's like 3 lasers that they use to paint they paint dots in the sky, and they can basically ionize the plasma gas in bursts, and also like, so they can make it like a flashbang grenade will light up the plasma, and they can actually send modulated voice sound frequencies through the plasma too, so they can make the plasma balls talk. So you can look up Pentagon talking plasma balls, and you'll find this stuff. And they do it with lasers shined on a specific point in the space. So they can, and they can do this in dot matrix array, and they can make like, you know, 3D shapes and stuff with this technology and stuff too. So it's used in conjunction with what TD Barnes called Project Nemesis, which is this radar spoofing software as well. So they could spoof the radar signatures as well as a visual ball of light. And they could basically like make it look like the thing's doing 90-degree turns at breakneck speed and doing all these impossible physics maneuvers, but in reality it's electronic spoofing technology that's faking out all the sensors, and also, showing these things up on camera as well, which I thought is interesting. But that can't explain transmedium objects, the ones that go in and out of the water.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like there's limitations. You have these things, and it's like, oh, that can explain this, this, and this, but it can't explain.
It doesn't explain. It doesn't explain Dietrich and Fravor's Tic Tac either. If it went in and out of the water, yeah. Well, even if it didn't, I mean, with the object that they saw, I thought what you were talking about was like lights and the spoofing technology at night, but it doesn't sound like to me like this can create a fully formed physical looking object hologram, right? Yeah, they can form a ball of light like a Tic Tac in the sky and make it move around and look like it's a real physical object, and also make it show up on radar. In the daytime. In the daytime. Huh. Yeah, there's a bunch of videos on this. There's videos of them demonstrating this. It doesn't just work at night. Where's the it was the That's wild, man. I didn't think that we had that technology. Where the heck where do you have to look it up? So there's a couple different ones. There's some lesser ones, but there's a company in Japan that was doing it. Where the heck was it? Where the heck is it? I gotta find the video, but I'll send you some of the videos on it and stuff. They make it hard to find. You can't even find a lot of this stuff. So here's the nerd alert right here.
Ariel Burton has done something very cool, and they've created a pulse laser to create 3D images in the air that you can view in the daytime even. Let's take a look.
Ariel Burton has demonstrated an aerial 3D display, which can project text and images in the air. The images are constructed by firing a 1 kHz infrared pulse laser into a 3D scanner, which reflects and focuses the pulses of the laser to specific points in the air. The molecules at that point are ionized, and the energy is released as photons. Ariel Burton believes...
Yes, so the one question was, how do they lasers know where to stop in space? Dude. So they cross beams. There's multiple lasers, and they cross the beams, and when the beams cross, it heats up the air.
Oh, that makes total sense. But how are you going to do that over the ocean?
You have a couple big laser emitters on the shore.
Yeah,
and
I'm curious how. Yeah, I guess what we don't know is how far advanced the government's tech is when it comes to this stuff.
I think they've had this. They've been experimenting with this kind of stuff for decades now, probably. So now it comes out here, but I guarantee you someone else figured this out.
So using this technology in emergencies will aid communication after a disaster, letting people know where to evacuate or obtain food and emergency supplies, as well as prioritizing transportability. Ariel Burton plans to market the display overseas to increase recognition of this technology.
Those photons.
Future.
Oh, cool.
The future.
No, you know what? I want someone to project a little exclamation point above my head because I'm a quest giver. I play too many video games.
Little halo. So we're gonna have little collars and just, you know,
Dude,
have
that
like
is-
whatever we're feeling at the moment. You know,
Oh God!
like am I question mark? Am I exclamation
Is it
point?
just them
Or am I
yakking?
feeling-
This is silly when they're talking about it on their Nerd Alert show.
But dude, oh my God, I had no idea that technology was even commercially, or I guess it's not commercially available, but it's
You could
experimental.
probably, you know, I don't know. You might be able to buy it. It seems like it would be more for like a big company that wants to do something with it. But think about who's the buyers for this stuff. Where are the
Yeah,
practical
dude.
applications? One of the interesting things that you should know is that Disney holds all the patents on you know, the holographics and display technology. A lot of the patents for this stuff is actually held by Disney.
Really?
Oh yeah, they've done. I guess they've done a lot of the like pioneering work in you know,
Yeah,
holographics and displays, because they actually tried to develop a lot of this stuff for their rides at the
Right.
park and stuff. I remember going there in the 80s and they had like this new one. It looked like these ghosts were going through the room right around you and
Yes.
stuff. It was very realistic, you know.
Yeah, the Haunted Mansion. Yeah, I'm like 20 minutes from Disney right here. So yeah, we've been quite a bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so you're familiar. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
so,
it's neat. It's a neat optical effect.
yeah, the Imagineers, that's what the company, the group of the Disney guys that are doing this and working on that technology. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. You know, TD Barnes talks a lot about that, and he's convinced that all these things are those, but I think that some of it is some of this other technology as well that I don't think that he was briefed on completely. But I wish I asked him a little bit more about that. I got to get back to him because he did look into Ed Fouché and a couple of these other guys for me that he didn't know about it when I asked him about on air live. But when I gave him some time to go through his contacts, because he still talks to all kinds of guys out at Area 51 and the CIA. His sons and family members have followed in his footsteps, so they're
Did you ask him about his thoughts on Roswell? Did he bring up Project Mogul?
I asked him if he thought it was our stuff or if it was there. He said he thinks the Roswell was our stuff too.
Project Mogul probably.
I asked him whether they thought it was Mogul balloon train or there was another theory that it was a captured Horton parabola that they were test flying from the Horton brothers, the Nazi Horton brothers,
right?
The Horton parabola, if you look that up, it was a craft developed.
Did you ever hear about the Fugo balloon bombs from Japan during World War II?
Oh, what's this Fugo balloon bombs?
Look up Fugo, Fugo balloon bomb. These were crafted by Japan in World War II, and they were actually sent on the jet streams of and they literally had bombs attached to them. And the problem that they had when they first tried to do this, because they were trying to bomb America from Japan without planes, so they would launch these things and try to get them up to the jet stream. The jet stream would take them, but they kept losing altitude. So they maneuvered this fuse system. So anytime it would lose altitude, it would ignite a fuse, and one of these sandbags would drop off. And then it would lift back up into the jet stream. Yeah. And this just happened over and over and over again until it finally made it to the US. And the government told no one, dude. I was listening to Radio Lab the other day, and they did this whole story about these Fugo bombs, and I had no idea this ever happened, that the Japanese actually dropped bombs on U.S. soil. Never heard of it in my life.
They found one in February of 45 in Bigelow, Kansas. What a town to drop on of all the places.
I know.
Always a Bigelow involved.
Always a Bigelow involved.
Oh,
isn't that wild? Funny. And then so a kid found one, and I can't remember what year this was, but a family.
Oh, these guys got killed by one.
Yes, that's the family that got killed. So it was in Oregon, and the mother was pregnant, and the kids ran out of the car, and they found this thing, and the dad saw it, and the mom yelled over for them, and he comes over, and before he gets there, she lifts it up, and boom, and it kills the whole family, dude. And then the government, and then the military came in and shut them up, and they weren't allowed to talk. Like, it was, wild, dude. Because they didn't want. It was a terror. It was a terrorist. They were trying to terrorize the American people, thinking that these bombs were gonna just drop on them from anywhere. And it's just wild because I never heard of that. And and it's wild.
Wow, that's a first for me too, man. I'm surprised. I thought I was familiar with all kinds of World War II technologies, but I didn't hear about that one.
Isn't that nuts?
You know about SOFAR spheres?
No.
So when the special ops guys would get get arrested, if they got arrested on their raft, coming back from a mission, waiting for pickup or something, they would find these little balls in a bag. They were just metal spheres, and and that's what they were given. And when they cut them open, there was actually nothing inside of it. But the purpose of these spheres that they kept them in their pack was to they drop them in the water. If you wanted to get rescued, you'd drop one in the water, and then you'd wait a half an hour and drop another one. And what these things would do is they drop down, and they were designed to drop down specifically to a place in the sea where it's called the SOFAR channel.
Oh, wow.
And there's this spot in the ocean where it hits the sweet spot where resonance and like sound waves can just travel. That's where the whales go to communicate over really long distances. So they found that the whales, they actually did this from studying whales, that the whales would go down to the SOFAR channel and they'd be able to talk for miles under the sea because of the resonance there. And so what they do is they made these balls they're like depth charges. They would sink down specifically right to the SOFAR channel, and then they'd implode and pop. So they had all these sensors all along the ocean on the floor bottom at the SOFAR channel to pick up noise and to track submarines and track all kinds of stuff. But they would pick these clicks up, and they'd be able to triangulate the position. And this was like their covert way of getting picked up by their like special ops guys, so that they'd hear the SOFAR channel guys would hear these clicks and be like, all right, well, and they'd know they'd be able to triangulate the position of where they dropped them and be able to send out a rescue team to look for the guy. So this is another interesting, this is called the SOFAR bomb. And I've never seen a picture of one. I've heard only stories about all these guys talking about them and stuff, but there's like, where is one? I want like, there's gotta be, there's no museum that has one of these things, or like anywhere. It's crazy, but it's called the SOFAR. It's a SOFAR bomb. But and it's just a metal sphere with nothing inside of it.
That's amazing. I never heard of that.
Yeah. So
so
one.
Yeah, dude, school me. But that's fascinating. And so none of these have been found or reclaimed, or
I've only heard about them, man. This should be like you go look up SOFAR bombs anywhere. You'll never find a picture of one anywhere. I don't know who. Someone's got to have one, or like know where where are these things? How the heck were they made? They take a drop of hot, like how do they make them? That's just crazy.
Yeah.
But
that's looking cool.
Yeah. But anyways, it would go to this deep sound channel, and it would it would be able to location of ships or crashed planes. So the pilots or the ships would have these in their kit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their way of, because they could send out a signal to where they were and their location in an SOS signal without the enemy being able to like, oh, well, now we know where you are, Think about it. So,
wow.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant of the time. And I think it's one of the reasons it's not talked about is they probably still use it to some degree. But yes, in any case, let's get on, let's get back on this this topic for the big phone home.
Yeah, man, I'm super stoked about it. So for those of you just joining us, we're going to be going live for 8 hours on Saturday the 4th, 8 hours on Sunday the 5th, and 8 hours on Monday the 6th. And all you got to do is go to thebigphonehome.com. And if you go to day 1, just make sure you set your reminder. Day 2, set your reminder. Day 3, set your reminder. And then just go to the unidentified celebrity review and subscribe there. Go to the Singularity Lab as well. And we're going to be going live all 3 days. We've got panels every single hour. Some amazing guests. We're going to be talking about how you can activate yourself to get in front of the Congress folks who we want to get. Hey, nerds, who we want to get congressional hearings from. And that's the goal of the Big Phone Home. And again, it's really about ensuring that this topic is burnt into the minds of the American people. And the more we can pressure our legislators, the more we can activate you out there who are interested in getting more UAP information. It's right now. What's up, brother? The time is now. So activate with us. Join us for the Big Phone Home. Check out the website. And also make sure you can sign up for alerts. So you can actually subscribe here on the Big Phone Home website. So you can actually get reminders. And we're only 4 days and 9 hours out.
Heck yeah. I almost want to get Rather and Lewis on here.
They should jump in.
Yeah, man, I'm going to send you guys the link right now on Twitter. So check your Twitter for that link. I would love to get the we'll do a little mini phone home here.
Yeah, and as you're doing that, I just want to let folks know that we've got just a huge amount of guests on the Science Day. We're going to have Avi Loeb, Ralph Blumenthal. We're going to have Erling Strand, Dr. Tia Durrani, Ted Rowe, Campbell Moriarty. We got Erica Lukes. We've got you, alien scientist, Mark Soko, Bradley Voorhees. And then I'm going to pull up the day 1 list here real quick.
Heck yeah, I can't wait for that, man.
It's gonna be good. And so on day 1, this is the Saturday. We're gonna have Zach Seichi, John Greenwald, Jamarl Thomas. We're gonna have the Signal. We're gonna have Graham Rendell, Nick Pope, Max Moskowitz, Vinny from Disclosure Team, Christopher Sharp, Jay Malibu. We're gonna have Ryan Sprague, Mark Turner, Call Vibe, Alex Sears, Jazz Shaw, Danny Silva, Daniel Otis, UFO Garage, Dan Warren, Dave Scott, Lee Schmidt. I mean, this thing is absolutely freaking packed, and it's gonna be exciting. So, yeah, I can't wait I hope you guys enjoy us, hope you guys join us and enjoy us over there on Labor Day weekend. It's gonna be a blast.
Yes. Enjoy. All right, we got Lou in the house.
Yo,
welcome, Lou. What's up, man?
What's up, gentlemen? I can't stay long. I gotta cook dinner for the lady, but I couldn't resist the invite.
No worries, brother. Good to have you on, man.
Yeah, pleasure.
I'm so glad you guys are doing a day 2, and I hope there'll be, a Big Phone Home 2, and I hope there'll be like a 3 and 4, because I have a feeling that this is going to be a long haul for getting transparency from any sort of one in the government on this subject. It's almost like we have to educate a lot of people in the government about this subject, and also it's almost like we need to get more of our own people like in the government to really help advocate for disclosure, for full disclosure. That's what I almost feel.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the whole point, man, is because a lot of people think, they like to paint the government with a broad brush. One part of the government means all of the government, and it just doesn't work that way. Like a lot of these folks, especially when it comes to public officials, they 70% of their day is just making phone calls for more money, so they have to be read in on a lot of the things that they're voting on. And if there's an overwhelming support or burning desire for this question, then that's something they will be read up on. And I think some congressmen are privy to the game, especially with the briefings that are going on. we definitely know that there are parts of Congress that have been privately briefed with a classified briefing. We don't know exactly which committees and subcommittees those have been, but it's a lot. It's more than it was last year. That's for sure. And so yeah, there will definitely be a big phone home 3 and 4. We just don't know when.
It's gonna be a long fight. It's gonna be a long fight.
We're in it for the long haul. But I mean, like the talking to Ted Rowe, especially, like he is very, very excited for some of the stuff that's coming down the pipe. He couldn't get into it, but it was, when you hear a guy like that excited, especially from where he was just 4 months ago with just sort of like being super defeated. I think it's, and some of the stuff that we heard Lou say the other day on Christina Gomez's show, we're here. We're just got to be patient. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but the conversation is shifting. I mean, the amount of scientists that we've got on our day 2 panel that are going to be talking about this topic in an open scientific way is something we've dreamed about,
Yes.
for years.
Yes,
for years.
Totally.
And that's why we wanted you as a part of it. Cause we're like, well, we got to get Jeremy in here. Especially when Brian Keating is being like, yo, Jeremy, thanks for the science, like that's awesome shit, dude. And so,
it's crazy when I've introduced some people to some stuff and they were like, I had no idea,
no clue.
I had no idea. And then like I have people like that still like think I'm crazy and like I'm insane and tell me I'm mentally, challenged and I should go get help at a mental hospital and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right. That's just a natural reaction. It's called cognitive dissonance, and it's gonna go through some of that. I joined the technicians and Mark. I both sent you guys an email. So he said, "Oh yeah, I'm glad to talk tech. He doesn't have much to offer the politics." So, yeah. Jeremiah said he's more of a tech guy and stuff. So, Mark's getting his devices hooked up, and he'll be on in a second. State specific message Carl was asking about. I think that's important, Carl, because each senator is a different person and they all have their own little pet peeves and quirks. So it'd be great to find someone with sort of some intelligence on just the personal human resources level, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but the level at which we can how to best specific tailor our message for each senator. I think that would help because not every approach is going to work the same on every person. So
we kind of did that. Yeah, I mean, if you watch my stream on Saturday, I sent out a whole bunch of emails to every single state and local rep that I had, and I used every single template that we've provided. And so we've had templates written by Tommy Zito, by John Greenwald, by Ratherby Squidding, by our producer Alex. We've got Twitter templates, and I actually got a response from my state senator, which I did not get a response from the big phone home. And I called and emailed them. And so that tells me that the letter is effective. Like the template letter that Tommy Zito wrote absolutely 100% got their attention, and they're reviewing the letter and they're going to get back to me. So that is already off the bat. The website is immediately more successful, at least for me, than it was the first time around. And we really like I've been telling people the last week or so, the website is the cherry on the cake. Or I wouldn't say the cherry. It is the cake. It is the inside of the cake. It's the structure of the cake. The guests are the icing and the cherry. Like the guests are just there to get people to the website, to activate themselves, motivate themselves to partake in their government, to partake within their system and see if we can change things with requests and demands. And I think you're right, Jeremy, that every senator is going to be different, but boy, I have a feeling that these templates that we wrote are specifically targeted by the people who know how to write and have actually gotten responses from our government. So I'm super, super excited with the system that we have right now, because I think it tailors to exactly what you just said, the different types of personalities and people that are looking or even considering these requests. Hey, look at that guy.
Hey, what's
Mark.
up, guys?
What's up, Mark?
What's up, brother?
It's
I'm
our
over here with Tom Butler.
Hey,
We're at the lab. And no more flooding, thank God.
thank God.
There was another flash flood, but we got the blocks in place, so no water got in.
Excellent.
That was
excellent.
Henry, right? The storm, Henry.
Yeah, Henry and Ida's coming on Wednesday, and they're promising a flash flood already. So we're gonna get
prepared.
blocks. Yeah. If you get them in place, then there's no water coming in. But that one was just it didn't even rain. It was raining up the stream, and everything just came down. How's it going, guys?
It's going good, man. It's going good.
Face,
Yeah. That Game of Thrones face. I'm just waiting for him to whip out a sword and lead us into battle.
Yeah, we got some new equipment here in the lab. Actually, tomorrow I have 2 pallets of equipment. One of them is coming from Albuquerque. Another one's coming from Los Angeles with more microwave RF amplifiers and stuff. Basically, when
we hit the mother load. We got the spot where all the used equipment from Area 51, Sandia, Los Alamos goes to this warehouse to be resold secondhand. So we got like this.
That's awesome.
I was wondering if they're like listening in on these conversations because me and Jeremiah we were talking about we need this and this band and whatever to work with. And I'm looking on eBay. I'm like, there's nothing around, man. I'm sorry.
And then you got a Facebook ad.
And then I'm down there in Albuquerque, and they're talking about it again. They're like, you need, you need these frequencies. You need to be in resonance. And I'm like, oh, damn it. I'm just get back on my phone again. And boom, there's 6 of them available, all from one seller right there in Albuquerque.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Like they released it for us. So
And this is the weird thing, right? The manufacturer of those 6 things was a company that doesn't exist anywhere on record. And it's called Space Technology. What is it? Space Technologies?
Space Technologies. It's Space RF Technologies.
Yeah.
There is a company with a similar name that isn't that manufacturer. But this guy Jason who runs the outfit for reselling used equipment, he said in 20 years of doing this, he's never seen that company before, and he thinks it was an inside build at Sandia that they needed this custom piece of equipment, which does exactly what the Alzafon experiment stipulates it needs to be done.
What were they doing with this?
Oh, and here's something even crazier. Back over here, right over my shoulder, you can see there's another Klystron. That's a brand new one. It's the first time I ever got a brand new piece of equipment that's that large. And interestingly enough, we have these weird connections with numerology. So there's 613 commandments in the Torah. The capacitor that I got off of eBay had 613 joules. This one puts out 6.14 kilowatts, so it's like the extra commandment.
Whoa. That's cool.
And the connection is because my motivation is to show that the entire Torah is all just advanced technology.
I remember that was a big part of that conversation that we had. This was a driving force for you personally.
Mark, you're a scholar of this, right? You went to college for this.
Yeah, I have the equivalent of like a bachelor's degree in. I mean, they never actually gave me a degree. We were just learning it. But I have the equivalent of a bachelor's degree, and I technically never quit.
You could
school.
read the original Bible in Hebrew, right?
Yeah, I could read the original Bible in Hebrew and the Gemara, the Mishnah in Aramaic. It's some pretty interesting stuff. When you get down to the source letter, you can find that certain things that we're translating and taking for granted aren't necessarily the case. And there's many problems that the rabbis have explaining certain things, but when you break it down and start explaining that Yehovah is actually just an alien, and the Elohim is like the this group of aliens and whatnot, then suddenly everything starts making sense. It's just like it's a totally different story.
It's fascinating
with the same words.
You know who Mark would be great to have a conversation. You know who I want to see Mark have a conversation with is Pete over from Creepy Little Book. Have you guys seen his channel? He's essentially famously he trained to be a priest and was pretty much right there before he was like, yeah, this ain't for me. But he brings a lot of sort of that biblical history and philosophies.
The same thing. It's the same thing with other religions too. I'm not just dissing Judaism.
Right.
Most religions, other than Buddhism, which is really just science of spirituality, they're all like dealing with alien shit. And here, check out our latest experiment we have going on.
So this is great. We're converting the scientific community. We're converting the religious community, and now we're converting the government.
Does this remind you of Ezekiel, a wheel within a wheel?
Oh, it kind of does. Yeah, as you say that, yeah.
Maybe
it does look a little bit.
Around. Weird shit happens when you spin this around. I'm going to upload a video later today.
What is that thing?
It's just spinning magnets. 3D printed plastic. Okay. Just spinning magnets.
Cool.
Yes, that B cross B field is apparently where it's at.
And what are you attempting? Like, what's the idea? What's the experiment that you're going to be doing with that?
Well, we stuck it up on a pendulum the other day. I actually got this on video. It's pretty cool. And it started to move. It was producing some effect. And then I pushed it past its limit. And the thing literally exploded. Like, parts flew all over the lab. Luckily, the ceramic disc magnets were not damaged. I was wearing safety goggles, Jeremy.
Is that one of Jeremy's stipulations in the lab? Always wear safety goggles?
I'm always like on him about like when we're doing live demonstrations on YouTube, we need to be exhibiting lab safety at all times. There are going to be people, no matter how many times you say it, there will be people trying this at home.
Yeah, but Jeremy, don't you know that Mark was on the northern wall? Protecting us against White Walkers? I mean, this guy, he doesn't need safety goggles. Right?
I've been dead and back.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
I always look at that like a DMT trip.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
it's like more for me, like not to get our lab shut down by OSHA. I think.
No, you make it, and it's also just it's safer. I mean, when you got ceramic magnets flying around the lab, I think it's a good idea to maybe even wear some catcher's gear.
Oh, and we're sending 5,000 volt arc through a bunch of liquid nitrogen and exploded everywhere. You know, stuff like that.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, we've done some really crazy stuff here at the lab, and we'll continue to do that. I mean, safety is paramount. We try to stay safe, but we are dealing with, fringe science, and there might be some forms of radiation that we're not familiar with yet. So we got to be very careful. It's possible.
Or how about all the materials Ron Keaton, when he had Ron Keaton's presentation, he's talking about all these materials that he wants to test. And I'm like, all these things are really, really bad. You read their material safety data sheets. These things are super toxic and really and he tells all these horror stories of the people the past researchers that were working with these things and got sick.
He shows you the damage that he had himself. Yeah, benzene rings are very, very dangerous to work with to make his
that's dioxin, right?
Well, just send in Chris Spaghetti.
Dude, I could not contain myself when you were cleaning up the lab, and then Chris Spaghetti walks on screen and is cleaning it up, and then Lou's like, "That's Chris Spaghetti." I'm like, "Lou, not all black guys look the same." And he's like, "No, that's Chris Spaghetti." I was like, "No, it is Chris Spaghetti."
It is Chris Spaghetti.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I love Chris Spaghetti. I haven't seen his face since your show when he was.
I met him in person last time I was down there in the lab. Man, he apparently lives real close by. So next time I go down there, we'll have to get him on a live stream.
We actually, I went on Jeremy's channel once looking for lab assistants, and Chris Spaghetti, he's like, I actually know where the lab is. I drove past it quite a few times, and he's actually walking distance from the lab, which is really cool.
Dude, that's cool. He's a cool dude.
And you know what? Most of the stuff we're doing here, and Tom could tell you this too, it's arts and crafts. Most of the work is arts and crafts. You don't need a PhD. You don't even need to graduate high school to figure this shit out. It's just what type of glue to use, what plastic, all that shit. It's really simple.
That sounds right up my alley.
What are you working on that you're excited about?
There's so many things. It's like which one is more exciting than the other. The Alzafon experiment is we're just having trouble getting the RF into the chamber properly, and this klystron over here over my shoulder is the different waveguide size. So we're waiting on another klystron that's going to come in tomorrow, hopefully with the UPS, And if that one works, then we'll be able to do it in the C band. And if we're seeing weight loss over there, I mean, this brand new klystron is probably powerful enough for like a full-size craft for dynamic nuclear orientation. So if we can get proof of concept going at a lower power rate, then we'll be well on our way to making like a demo craft.
Amazing.
Love it. That sounds exciting.
I still think we need to make like a balloon and strap some bifold brown on it, and just to get a video of us controlling around, and build it like a remote control so we can control it and fly it around. I think that would be like
that's actually very feasible.
Yeah, it'd be super feasible, and it would also like get a lot of attention, get people like, oh my god, like, you know, I don't know. Even though it's not real anti-gravity, it's ion wind, but
I think that would be a project up Jeremiah's skill set. He likes to make high voltage controlling stuff very lightweight. So that's what you would need for a ion craft like that.
Oh crap! Alien Girl just joined us as well.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Good.
Now we got a
lot again. You were on for the Big Phone Home 1, so are you gonna be joining in for the Big Phone Home 2?
Yes, I will. And I'm so excited. I'm hearing quite the echo, though. You guys hear echo?
I think it might be Mark.
It might be me too.
Yep. No, hello. Oh, check. That's a little bit kind of clear.
Check.
No, I'm still hearing it.
Maybe it's me.
Maybe it's you, Lou. Check.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Mute your mic. See what happens.
It's all of us, man. It's all of us. It's the government.
Well, the echo was there before Emma came in.
They're not happy about the Big Phone Home 2.
Well, listen, I'm going to see if I can fix it because I'm going to go. I got to cook dinner for my lady or she's going to kill me. But I cannot wait to see you, Jeremy, Mark, Amy. I cannot wait to see you guys this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks for joining us, brother. And definitely don't piss off the lady.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't want to do that. All right, I'll see you guys later.
All right, man.
Peace.
So, we got
Harmony?
the Alzaphon is like one of the experiments where we're super excited for, and we're hoping to create some spin state dynamic nuclear orientation, and see if we can't defy gravity or create some kind of state where the device will defy gravity by using this the Alzaphon experiment that Boeing tried, and if you look up Boeing anti-gravity, you can find stuff on this.
I think Boeing anti-gravity was actually the odd spinning disk replication.
Hey Christina, I sent you an invite as well on Twitter, so you can join too. So if you want, you don't have to. No pressure. I don't understand.
Christina, that video that you played at the beginning for Singularity Lab, that was actually created by Christina.
Oh, that video I played at the start. Yeah,
she created all the motion graphics for that. She created the video.
You just recorded like an audio? Did you?
Yeah, I just recorded the audio track. Yeah, I just wrote and recorded the audio track.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Still getting some crazy wicked feedback.
Me too. Let me mute myself. Tell me if it changes.
Check, mic check. Still there. Let me mute myself.
Any echo?
No, I don't hear an echo. Do you hear? I hear an echo, right? For me.
Oh, I'm going to put on headphones as well.
Yeah, it's you, Mark, I think.
Check. But I still hear it even when he's muted. What kind of science are you using, Mark?
A damn anti-gravity
science. I knew he was doing. I knew there was some sort of anti-gravitic effect.
Lord,
yeah, that's totally what's going on.
He's got his $5 super chat. Thank you, Lord Ludicrous Plaid. I'm glad to see a lineup that doesn't include the Nutter crowd. I know a few made it on the first one, but also no Dolan Corbell. Keep up the great work. Oh, hey, I'm not gonna. I'm sure there's some politics being played in, as well on trying to keep friendly with everyone in ufology and stuff. And I know that we caused some ruckus on this channel and stuff, and then not everyone's down with all of that, but we're trying to get the popular crowd to take the other stuff seriously, and also my goal is to get the public to start taking the science more seriously, and get the media to focus on the science, because the media is just always interested in sensationalist nonsense. So it's really hard to get through to them with real scientific information, and then also they're keeping their audience with it, because it's when we start going off on the science stuff, sometimes we lose a lot of people, and
people get bored. It's tough, and that's why it's always been a challenge, and that's why we try to keep our shows as we try to entertain, we try to bring in great guests, great information, and that's kind of what we're trying to do with the Big Phone Home 2 and the Unidentified Celebrity Review and Singularity Lab. It's like you got to make people, people need to have fun. They need to have fun. And so we try to not take ourselves too seriously, but take the subject matter seriously, and, just bring on great people. And I don't think you can go wrong doing that.
I think that's what Jeremy excels at, is bringing fun into this environment. That's one of the things that attracted me to what Jeremy was doing, is he just managed to make it, accessible to the everyday person. You don't have to understand every nitty gritty about it, but as long as you're having fun with it, that's all that really matters.
Right.
And it can be cool. It can be cool. Science can be cool. It's cool.
I love science.
Talks with a documentary filmmaker. I'm not going to mention their name right now, but you all know who they are. And they're making a sequel, and they want to have us on for the technology section. And I told them on one condition, that they get a graphic artist for animation, so we could explain the spin states and stuff, and show everything like on a molecular level what's happening. Because
that would be good.
That's a good idea.
Rattling on different concepts, and nobody has any clue what they're talking about, or more processions. But as soon as you see it, like you visualize it, even if it's not 100% accurate, people can kind of get an idea what you're talking about.
And get the concept, yeah. Having those visuals is so critical.
Totally.
Yeah, nuclear magnetic resonance was a super interesting discovery that happened in the 60s, and it was kept classified for decades, and that was the basis for the CIA's Project Rainbow, which is a lot of what was done out at Area 51 during that time on mapping the EMF spectrum and all of the electromagnetic frequency responses of materials to different waves and frequencies. It's really cool science, and there's a lot of interesting info out there on it that people are continuing to wake up to and learn about. One of the things I thought was interesting, someone asked me about like biological frequencies and these conspiracies about ELF waves and their ability to have electromagnetic frequencies that can actually affect the body, and I pointed them to NICIRP.org. Is it? What is it?
Yeah, try 10 to 11 gigahertz. That'll give you a nice headache.
Yeah, so Mark figured out some of this stuff on his own, just experimentally in the lab. But there's actually oh geez, I can't even find this now on my thing.
The thing is that with microwaves, with basically you're dealing with centimeter waves that start about that long inside your regular microwave oven, 2.4 gigahertz. Then as they start getting smaller, right around this length, which is around 10 to 11 gigahertz, they could start creating hot spots in your brain, in your skull, and bouncing around inside your skull and creating different resonances. That's why the shorter the wavelength, the more dangerous it can get. And then at a certain point, it starts becoming just a skin effect. So there's certain sweet spots in the RF spectrum where it's dangerous, and certain ones where it's not. Like our eyes, what we're seeing with light frequencies is around 470 terahertz, and those are tiny. Those are subatomic sizes. Those are really, really small wavelengths. So those are not damaging us, but it's really about the length of the wavelength that matters.
When it comes to eye damage?
Eye damage happens. That's like in general, just like giving you a headache. But eye damage can also happen in the X band and the Q band, which is above it. It's less likely to happen lower because the frequency is just the wavelength is just so large that it'll hit your entire face. Like it's not gonna concentrate on that one small area of the cornea to warm up.
Wow. So is this what's going on? Somebody mentioned it over here in the chat as well, Havana syndrome. Is this what's going on with these sort of electrical weapons, or these sorts of weapons that the people are using that are causing headaches and
yeah, it's similar. It's this frequency hacking that they can tune into. So they have probably a similar device like this Klystron that they're using to send those frequency waves out. And I'm trying to find the thing. Oh, yeah, here it is. It's icnirp.org, and for some reason it wasn't showing up. But this is a website. Mark, sorry, I muted you because it was a lot of echo. But there's a paper on here you can go through. It's basically this company that it's a research foundation that does studies on FCC emissions and different frequencies and whether they cause biological harm, and they keep data on this. So there's a whole journal. Then they have a publication right here. If you go to their publications, you can download their 2020 or 2021 guide. And if you go through the bibliographies, you'll find literally a guide through all the scientific literature and all the studies that show you exactly which the frequencies that are biologically active and what they do and their effects and all this. You can find all the literature on this through their publications on ICNIRP. It's again the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection. So yes, this is this is key. It gives you the whole frequency spectrum, and it will tell you all these different frequencies that do weird things to the human body and give you the literature on them. So if you're interested in that, you can look it up there. But yeah, this is where science meets the and some of the stuff they don't want you talking about, because then the wrong people could use that guide for the wrong purposes. But hopefully.
Right.
Hopefully you don't. And there's
please don't.
Yeah, please don't. Look, it's much more expensive to do that. I think you probably start off with the what's called software defined radio. It's SDR. It's the coolest radio that no one's ever heard of. And if you can look up stuff on this. This is really neat because you can buy one of these things, and I have one. I should bust it out and show it right here on air. But I have one. It comes with a radio antenna that you plug into your USB port right into this device, and you can literally download the software online and listen into all these frequencies and get scanning on all these different frequencies. So you can build a scanner and have it running in your home to see, so that you can tell if you're the target of these types of attacks, because you'll be able to pick them up on your radio frequency scanner. So you can build one. On that. So no, I'm not. I'd rather tell people how to protect themselves, be aware of this technology and how to protect yourselves from it.
Right.
Teach them how to, actively, hurt people with
Use
this
it for nefarious reasons.
Yeah.
Here's a little keychain device that I have. It detects X-rays and gamma, and it will beep every time it detects something. That's a useful thing to have.
Nice, right on your keychain. Yeah, so that's good too.
Oh, that's dope.
What's that called, and where can people get one of those?
It's called Nuke Alert, and you can get it. I think they have it on Amazon.
NUK Alert.
NUK Alert.
Okay, Nuke Alert. Oh, there it is. Cool. Yeah, you can get them at Walmart too. Apparently, who would have thought?
Who would have thought? For $136 at Walmart.
There you go. That's it.
Doug, it's cheaper on Amazon. Yeah, you were talking before about the Havana syndrome, and that's something that people started talking about a lot recently. There was senators and members of the White House that were getting hit on the White House lawn.
Yeah.
And, if you remember back last summer when Miss Eskridge was here, we think we got hit by one of those as well.
Yeah, that was crazy. You told me about that story too. The guys were sitting in the SUV across the parking lot, and you got hit with something.
Yeah, and I went and snapped pictures of them, and they ran off.
Weird.
That's wild.
Really, really weird shit. Yeah, whoever these people are, I have no clue who they are, what their motive is, but
weird. I'm just gonna show up and radiate people. But yeah,
move.
Totally. Oh jeez. Yeah, so that's
I was just gonna say, like, I'm really concerned. Like, you guys are at the cutting edge of this sort of science. I'm really concerned about, like, you know, like the evil versions of you guys who like sit in the basement and don't broadcast on YouTube, and who are like trying to like scramble people's DNA from afar.
Oh, but what I think it actually is, and this is just a theory, it's I've only seen it in connection with people that are keeping shit secret. So yeah, I don't think it was targeted at me. I think it was targeted at the other person that was with me, who should remain anonymous for now. But yeah,
I can just imagine an attack happens in my neighborhood, and I'm going to be a suspect immediately. Oh God!
I mean, it's such a bizarre attack that you don't even think to call the police. Like, you start getting headaches, and you get this burning sensation. Like,
right?
Who do
you call? Yeah, who do you tell?
Like, the police will come, and then what? Like,
they'll be like, okay, so where was this person, and what do you feel?
Yeah.
They'll literally laugh at you.
Yeah, it felt the same as the X-band microwave. So that's all it was. It's just like laser, maser, microwave laser energy.
That's wild. Huh.
Man, so I think tomorrow, one of these next days, I've got to go down to my senator's office or the state house. I want to try to film myself doing this too, as part of the initiative to encourage my viewers and others to
that would be
kind of do stuff like this. And I want to try to get like in there to his office and then like talk about what I talked about, and then I want to put together, like I said, this 15-minute my package for the science end of this, and why this can't be ignored any longer, because it's going to be super dangerous if we continue to ignore all this technology that's coming out, because again, the singularity is here, my friends.
Singularity has arrived.
Yeah. Michael, what can we do to push Senator Marco Rubio to get on board?
I love that you asked me that. You actually emailed me about that. I did get back to you, but what we're planning on doing is, because we have reached out to his office and he hasn't responded, but what we're interested in doing is during the Big Phone Home, we're going to galvanize when we get enough people in the room to all simultaneously tweet at him and get his attention. Because the goal is, maybe if we can galvanize enough people to tweet at him simultaneously, I think if we get his attention, maybe he'll come on. If not, then at least he'll know what the Big Phone Home is. And then next time, and we'll keep pushing and pushing. So he's one of the few, and we talked about this earlier, he's one of the few senators who's actually interested in talking about this topic and has influence. And he's on the committee that pushed for the UAPTF task force. So, if there's anybody in government right now who's as interested as Marco Rubio, I'd love to hear it, but I haven't heard anybody more interested in it.
We can get Marco Rubio. We can get Marco. Yes, we can get him.
About.
You start talking about that, I just want to go tweet this now. Come on, guys. You got the fire started. This is awesome. Yes, I bet we could get Marco Rubio's attention. I'm feeling it in this moment.
I think we can.
I bet we could do it.
I think we can.
I bet we all could do it. Everybody in the chat, everybody on hashtag UFO Twitter, all of us, we could get his attention. Actually, I think we already have their attention, but I think we can engage with them.
Yeah. I think it's about keeping their attention and getting, the right engagement with them, so that they're like, oh, wow, this is like more serious than I thought. Because the popular ufology, what most people think of as UFOs, like the tabloid news kind of level of understanding of the subject, is not where this field is currently at.
Right.
And it's really needs to take a new step in a new direction and say, like, look, this is no longer about just, lights in the sky and not being able to know what it is. This is a real serious issue with technology. And it's much more serious than a lot of people are think or believe. But if there's really technology out there that can warp things around in space-time and bend the fabric of space-time, that's concerning.
I'd like to know about that. I'd like some information about that, and even on like the lighter end of the scale, but not the lighter end, but like even if we're just talking about potential near misses with pilots in the air, like we were just talking to Ted Rowe, who was at the AA conference, and we have real pilots who see stuff and they're really concerned for their safety, for the safety of their passengers. This is not something that you can just ignore and, point at and say, this is just a bunch of people who think they were abducted or whatever. This is a real phenomenon that needs to be dealt with. And we'd like some answers. Damn it.
Also, my issue is that it could, if it's falls into the wrong hands, it can literally end humanity.
That's a good point.
If it falls into the right hands, it can literally save humanity and end scarcity and create a utopia for all of abundance. And also an energy supply that we could use to clean up nuclear waste and all this other stuff. So there's lots of positives to look at, but also negatives to be aware of.
Yep.
I think that's an important thing for that's going to be a basis of how I'm going to organize my my spiel to my senator.
I love how you brought up an end to scarcity. Like, I've always been a huge Star Trek fan, and one of the most interesting things that I find about Star Trek is their post warp drive egalitarian society. And I've always pointed back to the replicator as the critical element that ended scarcity, that led to an egalitarian society. And as long as you have haves and have-nots, you can't have that. So this idea of developing technology, and this is part of what we talk about at the Singularity Lab as well, and the evolving technologies that are going to take us to the next level in sociopolitics and beyond, and it's all fascinating. And I love the fact that you guys are here covering these issues and bring it together, Jeremy. Like, you do it in a way that's entertaining, that's fun, that's interesting, that's science-based, and that's open-minded and skeptical simultaneously. And I think that's the critical piece of this puzzle. And I think far too often we can all miss the mark on that. So, I really appreciate what you're doing here, brother.
Yeah, man. I hope that if I can just, I don't know too many people who are in Rhode Island who are down with the big phone home. Maybe we'll find some, but maybe I can connect with some others and we can kind of make it a joint effort and go together or something. But like, it's a small state that I live in. There's not it's the smallest state, probably population wise and size wise, and I think Delaware maybe a little bit bigger. I think Delaware is a little bigger, but it might be a close tie. But I think it is actually a little bit bigger. But so I live in a small state, and I might be able to get through to my actual senator, and I want to like make an impact here, and then show others how to sort of follow that and make it about, because energy issue, it probably is an energy issue. If the DOE manages a lot of the stuff and they're looking over it, it might be. Again, there's all kinds of political issues when you're talking about things that threaten $trillion industries like oil industry, which is currently dominates our energy usage and our oil addiction. But that's an issue even the oil companies realize that we need to get off of, and I think that they've even started changing their tune to this whole idea of renewable energies and a post fossil fuel society, right, transition that we need to make as humanity. But I think that this if I show up in the lab coat, maybe I'll show up in the lab coat. I think that would really boost it and really get some credibility.
It'll help your street cred.
Also, Mark has we have the drive on the flash drives and stuff too. We got to get some of those so that people can, like, if people are going. Yeah. So maybe we can work together. If people are actually going to be debriefing their senators or meeting with them directly, I'd like to equip them with one of our flash drives so that they can give to their senators to basically, say, here's, here's some of the best intel that we have on this stuff, and have your scientific advisors or whoever's on, whoever helps your committee just with these types of decisions review this material and really dig into this, because you'll see that UFOs is much more serious than just lights in the sky, and it's much more serious. So yeah, we just got to do things to get their attention, and to really make them realize that, yes, this is something that I need to pay attention to and potentially act on in the future. So
it's good stuff, brother. Listen, I got to get some dinner. It's 10
2
o'clock.
hours is perfect, man. You killed it, Mike. Thank you for so much, dude.
Dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You were just on a stream before this, so you've been going like.
I've been going for 3 hours now, and then plus we had a full work day today, so I'm whooped, gentlemen. All right, but my God, Jeremy, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. Mark, always amazing to see you. Alien Girl, you guys freaking rock, and I love that you guys are keeping this conversation going, and I really appreciate you bringing attention to the Big Phone Home 2. I appreciate you bringing attention to the Singularity Lab. If you want to check us out, make sure you go to thebigphonehome.com, and you can check it out here. And then you can also go to YouTube and go to the Singularity Lab, and you'll find us over there. So I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys soon. And then we'll see you both on the Big Phone Home on Sunday. And then I think we should do a Singularity episode with you guys too. So we'll keep it rolling.
Awesome, brother. We should definitely do it. I can't 100%. Wait.
Awesome. All right, you guys roll. Thank you so much. Peace.
Bye, Mike.
Awesome. Oh, great. We're going to end it there. Thank you guys for joining. Go follow Mike. Go check out his channel, and go subscribe to his YouTube. And thank you all for joining the chat and being awesome. Every single one of you. Yes, we need to move towards a Star Trek society, and we're literally like right in the growing pains process. So let's get on our senators and convince them that this is what's happening, and they need to get on board too.
Live long and prosper.